All right, we've got another in the Fish and Barrel series, and we're going to talk about something pretty obvious, but I don't see anyone doing it. It is stories on your social media. The best thing you can do on social media is video. All the platforms are going to reward you. And you're building up a social media following. If it's a few hundred, it's people that like you and trust you. And stories, people are more likely to comment on the stories. They're more likely to understand what you do, who you help. And, especially if you have a complex business. If you have a complex business, stories are going to help dumb down your business. If you're a specific type of attorney, complex digital media, digital agency, separating yourself out on social media and helping people understand who you help. Because what's going to happen? Well, it makes your social media more engaging because it's video and stories. So that, testimonials will never, ever do that. But also, more likely, someone's going to share it. If it's a story, share it on social media or share it with someone who, they're like, oh, here's someone just like you with the problem you were telling me about. And here's a social media piece for you, right? So it's a great way to be shared, a great way to be engaged, and comments. We see this all the time on case stories. You will get comments from your past clients, current clients, family members, because you're helping someone out. You're transforming someone's life. And even you're like, well, I do X, Y, Z. It's kind of boring, right? A roof can transform someone's life. Right? Your roof's leaking, you're frustrated, but you've got to find that story. A lawn maintenance company can transform your life, but you've got to find that story. If your lawn's just pretty, that's not the story. But if, hey, I'm really proud of our lawn now, and I love to be out there with my child, and we show video of them having fun, that's a story. You've got to find those stories. And that's where testimonials are just lazy, right? Because you get someone say, oh, you're great there, show up on time. Well, what does that mean to me, that showing up on time? And that's where, you post that thing on social media, you don't get engagement, you're like, oh, stories don't work. But these aren't stories. Testimonials aren't stories. And that's the problem with your social media. It's not stories. I'm going to let that lay there for a second. Look at your social media. You post maybe some testimonials, but are they engaging? Is there a reason? Is there a hook for me to pay attention to? Is there a problem that I want to know how you solved it? Is there a transformation that inspires me? No? Well, then that's why your social media is boring and not getting any engagement. Stories are so powerful in such a great way. So what do you need to do? What type of platforms? Well, it depends on your social media platform. LinkedIn, I think almost everyone should be on LinkedIn, especially if you're not technically in the B2B realm, but you want some higher end clients. Why? Because people with jobs making money are spending time on LinkedIn. Right? Not to say that there's no high-end clients on Facebook, Instagram, etc., but you have a bigger variety. Right? So you can stand out also in the noise. It just depends on your preferred social platform. We will put a link, and because I have a whole slide here, we'll show right here, of recommended times and for each platform as well as dimensions. That's why we make multiple versions. You also have to understand in social media, in your targeting, in your ads, that Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads, as well as Facebook video and LinkedIn video in general, are viewed without sound. That's where that dynamic text comes in. The dynamic text we put in and make them stand out. The other thing is visually, your stories have to stop the scroll. And what does that mean? You got to have that hook in there. You got to have the hook above, and you have to have a great design. So what is that? You have to have some really cool designs, and the more you put in there, the better. But these are things that are going to stop the scroll in social media. So thinking about that in the version that you're making, if it's specifically for social media, you've got to stop the scroll. And if it's in YouTube, you've got to think about thumbnails, right? You got to think about thumbnails and design, as well as titles. But for other social media, especially the types of social media, because there's two types of social media that I talk about. There's social media with intent, right? YouTube is generally intentional. I'm going to do something on YouTube. LinkedIn is kind of intentional because a lot of times we're doing research on YouTube. Or LinkedIn is intentional sometimes because we're doing research on there, but it's also attention because we're using it for our attention. TikTok is an attention. You're not doing searches on there, right? Facebook is attention in general. You might be looking for groups. So thinking about that intent versus attention. Intention versus attention is something to think about social media in your design. And that's why we spend so much time in strategy in the tackle box ahead of time, knowing what your social media strategy is. And afterwards, looking at the content we have and knowing where we're going to put it before we make the videos, right? Before you make the videos. So the version is going to matter depending on the platform. You'll have that platform strategy ahead of time of what social media platform you want to be on. But stories are the absolute best thing that you can do on your social media. So start collecting your case stories, start creating a strategy, use that tackle box, start to design your fish in the barrel strategy, and start to get your stories out there on a regular basis.